a Noble Media Group member.
America's known our share of tyrants. In response to tyranny, we created one of the greatest guiding documents ever written by mankind. We stood for what was right. We've also made mistakes, but we corrected those mistakes by fighting for what was right both inside our borders and beyond. Today, America faces another challenge: Christian nationalism. Misguided faith and misguided patriotism justifying misguided deeds.
Would turn the hearts of those who are in power and position to make decisions.
That's
not who we are, America. The Constitution is as true today as the day it was ratified. America stands for freedom, and America stands for doing what's right. And it's time we start restoring the American dream. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Restoring the American Dream. This is Brian Mistro. I'm here with the host and leader of the program, Reverend Michael Faulkner. We are broadcasting live from the SS Minnow on my side, the Redneck Yacht Club. So Michael, well, first of all, welcome everybody. I don't know where you're watching this from. It may be X. You could be watching on YouTube or Twitch or any of the other platforms. Thank you for joining us tonight. And for those that are just now watching and don't know this program, this is Dr. Reverend Michael Faulkner's Restoring the American Dream. And we may talk some politics in this, but it's really kind of like a 60 minutes deep dive into subjects. And the subject that we started this last time was, quote, what is America's role? What is America's proper role in the world? So I'll hand it over to Michael. We're going to have some fun with this because I think we're going to talk some biblical stuff. And then I'm hoping we can circle back to what all got this started, which was immigration. So everybody, this is Michael Faulkner, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Brian, and thank you if you're watching and to know we are at a critical time in our nation's history. And I always say that we always come around to that, but truly, because so many of us don't really understand history and understand the role that we played as a political force, as a military force, as an enforcer of doctrine and politics, geopolitics. And right now, that role has become so critical. In the last 15 years, it has become so critical because of technology. We truly now are a global village, and we have to, there's no longer, at one point in time, we would say, oh, we're not going to get involved in any foreign wars or any foreign conflicts. Yeah. Well, it's literally almost impossible to stay out of that because every conflict impacts us. It either impacts us directly as an ally or as as one of those nations in which we rely on for rare earth minerals or something. There's some buying, trading, something going on everywhere, every corner of the globe. And so we do get involved, and we should keep our, how do we say,
our oar in the water, maybe?
Our oar in the water, but not play the role of the world's policeman. Not play the role of the world's traffic cop, because we can't do that like we're doing in the Strait of Hormuz. We can't play that role in the world. That's just not, it's not feasible to us. Other nations don't appreciate it. We're not compensated for those roles. And to be honest, we can't put the lives of American servicemen and women on the line policing, for some police action when we're trying to maintain a border someplace that's not our country or something. So that's where the whole conversation started, is what is the proper role? And the two extremes were isolationists and interventionists.
Right, right,
Isolation,
right. Yep.
I'm, my name is Bennett and I'm not in it. And that's the isolationist view, and it's, bury your head in the sand and pretend you don't hear anything. And then the interventionist, where you're responding to every little thing that comes up. And of course, the UN is the 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 world's quote unquote peacekeeper since World War II. Since it was created, like, I'm not exactly sure how effective the UN actually is anymore, but it was created for that purpose. And so that's what Brian, that's what the thought was, is to say, hey, what is our role now? Historically speaking, we've had a role. We talked about the Monroe Doctrine before, passed in 18,
Hmm.
I think it was 1823.
Yep, yep.
We
It
couldn't
is.
even
It was.
enforce
Yep.
it then. We couldn't even enforce it then. The British Navy, because we didn't really have a Navy, but the British Navy, helped, and that was basically saying, hey, listen, European nations, you stay on that side of the
Yep.
pond and don't come back over here to the Western Hemisphere, to the Americas, to do any more colonization.
And
That
then
was
we won't.
basically
And then we won't bother you either, which we weren't going to
we
be
won't
able
bother
to
you. Right.
anyways. But yeah,
That's right.
yeah,
That's right.
yeah.
And since then, there's been a lot of countries that have broken free. The colonization stigma is a stigma. It is a thing. Nobody wants to be a colonizer anymore. It is a bad word, but still, bigger nations still think in terms of taking over smaller nations. And
Right.
and we, as the U.S., to be honest
Yeah.
with you, we have to be very careful because we're coming very, very close. I mean, the role that we're playing in Venezuela, not saying that Maduro shouldn't have been taken out or sanctioned or something like that, not
We're
weighing
not.
in on
Yeah,
that.
you're not saying he wasn't a great. Saying he was a great guy. No, I think the
Right,
world doesn't
right.
is happier without him gone. But I guess yes, I agree. Go
Right.
ahead.
And if we took out every leader, if we if we talked about regime changes in all of the bad actors around the globe, hello, we wouldn't last too long on the global stage. And we look like nutcases, as we probably sometimes do, but as we bring these things up into the UN. So what is our role? And especially now, I mean, we're looking at what the what is it, $1.2 trillion defense budget is what the House voted on today. I mean, it was
Was
just
it
the
1.2? Because I knew they wanted 1.5, was what they originally wanted. But did they up it
yeah,
just for the? I haven't seen it yet, so I'm actually asking a question. I haven't seen that, but I know that Hegseth and Trump were originally pushing a 1.5 trillion. That was a 50% increase.
yeah,
So
50%. And honestly, it's very scary. Now, it passed in the House. It's still got to go through the Senate revision and that process. So it's not law, but
right,
the House did pass it. So it's debatable as to whether or not it's going to ever see the light of day. However, though, but spending bills do have to be passed because Congress does have to allocate the money,
that's right.
and that's what the Secretary and the Defense Department was asking for. So it does impact everyday Americans, and it is something we should be talking about. And the question is, what is our role?
I'd like to kind of go back to just a quick historical perspective, and then kind of bounce something off of you. So we're going to go back to the Monroe Doctrine. Sorry, that's it's my Texas accent. Some of you may not understand it, but Jefferson's position was always Let Europe have the factories, we have the farms, we have the
Mm.
agriculture, let them do their things. We're going to do our thing. And I think that was a lot of the basis for it. But that's not true anymore. That world, as you were just saying and explaining very well, that world just doesn't exist anymore. I mean, we get, our chips from Taiwan. We import rare earths from around the world. We sell our products around the world. As you eloquently said, we are a world economy now. You cannot look at things like we did in the early 1800s or even the late 1800s because the world has changed too much. And what does happen in other parts of the world will affect the United States. Whether that means we need to go to war with them or not is a different discussion. But
Can you, let me throw this one out to you. You
okay,
just said that. Can you imagine Amazon without Chinese manufacturing?
perfect example. A perfect example. How much stuff do you get if you're watching this right now? How much stuff do you get from Amazon all the time? Because I order it all the time, and you flip it over, and it's got the little bitty white label right there. It says "Made in China."
Right.
How much do you get? So, very good point, Michael. As we expand on this, and what is America's role, I think that so much of that has changed over the even the last many generations. Certainly, World War II is a prime example of sticking your head in the sand and then getting it, if not cut off, certainly realizing what a terrible mistake you've made. So, what is our role now? I mean, it's I am actually not sure. Michael, you made a point that of the national debt, and the national debt's about to hit 40 trillion. I don't think we're there yet. I think we're at like 39 in change. Being the world's policeman, do you think that that has helped financially bankrupt this country?
Well, I think we're, unfortunately, we're too big to fail. However, it puts us in a very difficult situation, in an untenable economic situation, because we owe money to someone, to somewhere, and if we can't pay our bills, simply because we're spending too much in defense, we're spending too much on bombs and weapons that we're exporting, and just the whole economic that honestly, I think about these things a lot, and kind of, and I look at the trade deficits, and the whole trading partners thing. It's so complex right now.
Yeah,
It's so complex. There's so many
yeah,
intricate details on who owes what to where and how, and then when you throw in tariffs, or when you throw in some other kinds of coin that's not Bitcoin, or cyber, the digital
yeah,
currency.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It just, everyday people, normal people, and it impacts our lives. That's why it matters, because it does impact our life. The price of corn, how much corn is available, how much the resources that are grown right here in America are available to Americans, and for what price, and how much of our goods are imported. It's an interesting thing,
It
we
is.
we live in a global village. We live in a global village.
And, and
Go
I'm
ahead.
just going to add because you talked about agriculture too, and this just popped in my head. But remember that when we and Trump was getting into the tariff business with China, we were going to tariff, or they decided they were going to tariff our soybeans or shut off our soybeans. America produces vastly more soybeans than we even remotely consume, but China does consume them. And that's a perfect example about what you're talking about, that we are a world economy right now. And then when you put those tariffs on that, and you get into trade wars with people, then it does affect you. Another example, and I'm gonna mess up the specifics and facts of this, But I remember reading as a year and a half ago when we were, getting in our trade war with Canada, and Canada has been probably our longest big ally, and we integrated our automobile production so much that, and I want to say it's the Ford F-150, and again, apologies, and so I'm generalizing a little bit, but in order to produce this particular vehicle, that vehicle had to go back and forth across the border like 3, 5, 10 times in order to finish that vehicle out because we're a world economy. How do tariffs affect that? How do you make that? How do you fix that? I don't know that you can, Michael, unless you're just going to sell to Americans.
Yeah. It's not. I don't think it is fixable, and here's why: we consume too much,
Mm-hmm.
and our economy is based on our consumption. So you can't say, oh, well, Americans just consume less. Yeah, right. That's not going to happen because the world is dependent on us having stuff that we don't need. And I got a little
Yeah.
glimpse of that, with the World Cup. If you were seeing the responses from people who were coming to the United States, who all the Europeans, all the global, jet setters who arrived here to cheer on their teams. It was a beautiful thing. I mean, it was just a beautiful thing to have
Yeah.
have people, experience people that never been to the United States before saying, "Wow, well, this isn't what I heard about. This is what it wasn't
Yeah.
what I thought." And so because we're so used to going out and we're not used to hosting people who are coming in. And to be honest, they were like, now, living in New York for 30 years, I got used to seeing the world at our doorstep. It was
Yeah,
just
right.
that was
Isn't that like the
it was
melting pot of the
yeah,
world or
yeah,
something, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But to see people, in Philadelphia and all the other cities that hosted the World Cup, it was a great thing, and I'm glad it turned out so well. But to my point, uh, how does this affect what is our role in the quote unquote peacekeeping effort? Because I think, and I'm going to make a general statement.
Okay.
Tell me if you agree. I think generally the world wants peace. And I know that that's a kind of nebulous,
I
like,
actually, I actually would agree with that.
yeah,
I would say the world in general wants peace. I would agree with, and we'll talk about the little asterisk in a second. But yes, I would agree with that in general. And people of the world, I will say this: the people of the world
people of the
want
world. Yeah,
peace.
that's right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And governments, because the sad, horrible truth about war is that governments sometimes go to war for nefarious reasons
Hmm.
and allow their armies to, for reasons that are beyond the everyday grasp of citizens of that nation. And there are different things, whether it's profiteering, it's manufacturing, it's land, it's minerals. There's some reason that nations will go to war with another nation that's beyond the grasp of the average person in that country. And that's just a fact and a reality. We've got to be better than that. I think America's got to have policies and standards that say, hey, this is how we view our role in certain things. I'll say one thing that happened today in the news that kind of came out, or yesterday, 2 days ago. Um, the whole idea of having nuclear plants operated by American companies in Saudi Arabia.
I knew where this was
Uh,
going.
yeah, that raised some eyebrows, right? It was like, and Israel's like, say what?
Yeah.
I mean, they're like,
Can you blame them?
no, no, absolutely not. And because,
But by the way, Iran cannot.
yeah, right, right.
Right?
And, and it, 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 we cannot go. That's such a slippery slope. that
It
we
is.
cannot go down that road.
That's
We
right.
do not want, talk about the world's tinderbox. The last thing we want to do in the Middle East is introduce a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. That's like that's lunacy. It's crazy, to think that those kinds of things, because we know the way that this ripple effects, we've always seen this, the way the ripple effect works. Even there's no such thing as a small nuclear bomb, but even in a small detonated area, right? There's fallout, there's residuals, there's nuclear waste, the
Yep.
wind blow. It is a horrible way to go. And there's no cleanup from it. It lasts decades and
Thousands of years.
thousands of years, right? And the retaliation. So once one nation does one, then it's going to be that much easier. I mean, we came within a hair's breadth of global annihilation with our, dropping the bombs on Japan, the ending World War II. And we vowed, oh my goodness, never again.
Yeah.
We don't want to go down this road. But
Right.
the race was on,
That's right.
Russia had to get the weapon, and then the European nations, and it's just crazy. That this is not the way we want this planet to end. So, but our role as Americans, coming back to our topic, our role as Americans, I think, Brian, I think we've got to have some kind of standards that will allow us to say, hey, this is what we stand for, this is what we believe. And for years we did this, whether the president or the administration was Republican or Democrat. For years there were certain standards that every president, every administration adhere to. And I think that served us well, even in this now global village that we live in. I think that there have got to be certain principles that we, the people, agree to, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. So let me, since you brought that up, and the whole goal of this program is restoring the American dream. So let me ask you, because this is it's really been something um, that I've had some trouble with, and right now the Iran resolution failed to pass, I believe, through the Senate. One Democrat voted for it, one Republican voted against it. But, anyways, this was Congress saying, okay, Mr. President, you can do what you want to. But wouldn't part of restoring the American dream, going back to constitutionally what the founders wanted, in making sure that Congress has a role? Matter of fact, Congress has the role in deciding whether or not we're going to go to war. And has Congress abdicated that role um, since World War II?
Well, now here's where I'm
I,
kind
I,
of
I can see
awfully,
getting a
so
little bit itchy over there,
yeah, I get
right?
a little,
Right.
I do a little dance on this one. I do a little dance on this one. Reason being, one, I believe that Congress has to be involved, and I believe in the War Powers Act. Two, historically, Congress is historically very slow to act. And because that lengthy debate, the windows of opportunities, or the windows of intervention, uh open and close much quicker than Congress can act. And so I think we have is it 60 days? Is it
I
60
think it's
days?
90 days.
90
I
days.
think
We
it's
have
90
90
days.
days. You can engage
Yes.
in the
And I would
conflict
and
for
I would
90
agree, and
days.
I agree with that too.
I
But
do. I do.
let me put a stipulation on that, because there is a stipulation, and the stipulation is that it was made such that the president would have the ability to act when there was a foreign or hostile power that was immediately going to be of a threat to the United States. It made sense, right? We did that after the Vietnam War. Right? It's the War Powers Act, right? If I'm not wrong, it's the War Powers Act. And
Right.
so, such that a president cannot unilaterally decide to drag us into a war, forever without having to go through Congress. Was that Iran?
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah.
I know we're really getting into some
We
sketchy
took it up
stuff here,
to
but
the yeah, we took it up to the 90 days and then we backed away. But we've got Afghanistan. I mean, Afghanistan, we so overstayed our welcome in that situation.
yeah,
That's the thing. We have weapons, we have smart bombs, we have drones, we have all kinds of high tech uh, devices and bombs, but any war and any warrior will tell you that you cannot totally win a war without boots on the ground.
that's
There,
right.
there are going to be troops put in
Thousand
harm's
percent.
way. There
Completely
are going to
agree
be
with you.
troops put in harm's way.
Yes, sir.
And, getting the American people to get behind and support a foreign occupation or a foreign war, all wars are foreign except the ones that would come here to the United States. And then, I mean, anybody that would invade the United States would be absolutely nuts. As many guns as we have on the streets, it'd be like, it's like, uh, no, I don't think you really,
uh,
really, really want to do that. It's
Yosemite
just,
Sam comes to mind. That's right.
yeah, 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 yeah. So, so I think we have to ask the question, what is it that we believe, is our role in this process? And the thing I want to also, Brian, we're running out of time. We posted the whole American principles, but the acronym that I came up with was, avoid unnecessary wars.
That's right.
M, maintain unmatched military strength. I
Right.
believe in that.
I do too.
Two, three, engage. Engage in fair and free trade. I think if we have fair, free trade, and that's one of the things that
It's a
drives
soft power.
the
That's a
soft,
soft
yeah,
power.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Because here's the thing. Nobody wants to go to war if your people are going to starve and if you're going to lose customers. So it's like, you know, can we solve it another way?
That's right.
And that's one of the reasons that we're so pal, even though it's kind of a chill, not cold, but a chilled relationship with China. We need China.
And
We
they need
need
us.
Chinese. We need China, and they need us. So we're inextricably bound together. I don't care what you say.
Yep.
We're inextricably bound together. So engage in fair and free trade, respect our alliances, treatments, and treaties and commitments. You have to
Yes,
respect
sir.
those things and treat countries with dignity. Um, Interests of America first. I tend to agree with that. Even saying that, I have to be honest and realistic to say, okay, well, are we always the best? No. Are we always, noble and above reproach? No, absolutely not. However, I can't say that we, as a nation, that we should be taking up the interest. We give more money, humanitarianly speaking, than any other country in the nation in the world. We don't. Interestingly enough, I saw this. Our GDP, that what we give in humanitarian and worldwide relief and aid, is probably third or fourth in comparison when you rate it against the gross domestic product. So in other words, we don't give that much of a percentage of what we make in our as we do, but
Hmm.
total number we surpass everybody else.
So I want to put a little asterisk there as you go on because America First, if you haven't watched our last program, or maybe if you weren't listening today, that doesn't mean America isolationism, by the way. Okay,
Right.
because a lot of people confuse that. America first does not mean America isolationism. If you don't understand that, go watch the program before this one or back up in what we've been talking about now. So please go ahead,
Yeah.
Michael. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and the final one, choose diplomacy before force. We have got to choose diplomacy, has got to be our
Yeah.
superpower.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's got to be our superpower, not our military strength. So we want the America's greatest influence has never been the power of force, to force others to be like us, but the power to inspire people by example to be a free people. That's been our mantra. That's how
Hmm.
I grew up. That's what I believe, and just because I believe it doesn't make it true, but I think that's what the American people can rally around, is the fact that we can do that, and advance freedom, the final A, advance freedom through example. So I think we have a real role to play in the world, but
Hmm.
we've got to be willing, we've got to have the backbone to be able to do it, and a commitment to making the world a safer, better place.
So you're saying that in kind of a summary of a lot of this, restoring the American dream is not being interventionist. It's not being isolationist. It's a combination of both, and looking at things with clear eyes. I think is if I could kind of summarize more or less what you're saying. And I don't know anybody that'd be watching this that could possibly. If you disagree with that, then you have not read history. Um, I think
Mm.
it's. I think you've made a very, very good points, Michael. And I'll just add, because we've got to close down. We've gone actually 2 minutes over what we usually do, and we're pretty good usually about keeping it pretty straight. But America is really at a crossroads right now. I
Mm.
think that a lot of people just don't realize the realities and the difficulties that we're facing right now are in some ways things that our parents and grandparents did not face. And so
Right.
in order to um, overcome these challenges, these difficulties, we've got to look at things both historically and with a forward-looking, realistic aspect that we've got to restore the American dream, and in order to do that, we've got to put the right people in place, and we've got to genuinely make sure that we understand the realities of our actions and our inactions. And so it's been a wonderful. This has probably been, I think, Michael, one of our best little series that we've done. We started this off on immigration. I wanted to circle back into immigration a little bit because it does connect into this, by the way. Those two
Yes.
are
Yes.
connected. Uh,
It is.
thank you, everybody, for watching us. I know we ran over just a few minutes. If you're watching us right now, I don't know if you're watching us on X or Facebook or on YouTube, but please subscribe no matter where you're watching us at. We've got a lot of incredible programming. You can watch Michael, and I mean, if you're watching this right now, they're storing the American Dream. You'll note that it's yeah, we might talk just a little bit of politics, but I think it's kind of a deeper dive into how we make the country better, how we get back to the strong points, as Michael so eloquently does consistently on this program, how we get back to that. We've got the hinge of history, which is completely apolitical. We don't talk politics at all. It's all about AI and how AI is going to affect you. We've got the political arena, which is 100% politics. I mean, it gets that one it can get a little heated. So, and then the program just before this is Thursday Thoughts, where we just deep dive a subject, 100% apolitical, but how do we make some things better? So thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We apologize for running a few minutes over, but this is important stuff to talk about, and we should be able to see you this next Tuesday. Is that right, Michael?
That's right.
All
That's
right.
right.
Thanks
Yeah.
so much, Michael. Thank you, everybody, for watching us. This has been a fun little series. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you next time. See you this next Tuesday. You've been watching Reverend Michael's Restoring the American Dream. The Noble Media Group is on all major social media platforms. Make sure to give us a follow so you can watch this show and many others.
A Noble Media Group member.